What's up, Paper Gang? My name is Paper Yugioh, and welcome back to another interview on the channel. Guys, today I've got a very special one for you here. He's a good friend of mine. He is a competitive duelist. He's amassed over 5,000 subscribers on YouTube for his YouTube and Yu-Gi-Oh content. The Drykage himself, Loganjya. Logan, how you doing today, my friend?
Great. Happy to meet the Paper Gang for those of you who I haven't met already before. And yeah, dude, let's pop into this interview. I'm super excited to hear what you got to say and ask.
Hey man, we're super excited to have you on the channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Before we get started, I just want to give a quick shout out to my sponsor, Imperial Gaming Collectibles. They've got the best staff in the game. They've got all your needs for your Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon and Digimon and Magic the Gathering, TCG, and much more. Go check them out. The link is down in the description box down below, and that'd be really great. So Logan, before we get started, so who are you and what are you here to do today?
Foremost, I'm here for the interview with my boy Paper. My name is Loganjya. You just call me Logan. I stream on Twitch, and I also create Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos for YouTube. As Paper addressed me, I go by the moniker of the Drykage. My mission, and I think we've accomplished it to a good extent, is trying to be the best Drytron player on the East Coast. So I religiously make a bunch of videos aimed at educating the Drytron community. So that is something that I have a lot of fun doing. It's one of my favorite decks of all time, if not my favorite deck of all time. And I think that's a pretty good snapshot of myself. I try and stream 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. One of those days usually gets switched off. And with the return of in-person events, I'm trying to go and compete as often as I can. And that's a little bit about me. I've been playing the game for like 9 years now, which is kind of insane to think about. But it's true, and I should be a lot better than I am for how long I've been playing.
Well, you know what, man? It's something that does come with practice. It does come with time. Thank you so much for the quick introduction and snapshot into your life. Before we get into the questions, are there any shout-outs that you would like to give in this interview?
Of course, first and foremost, shout out to Paper himself, a guy who's absolutely bringing out the best in the community. You already know. Let's get it. Let's get it. I also want to shout out my team of people who work with me on the stream, specifically TK, aka Tom, Rob, Xavier, our judge staff, everyone who helps make the server run smoothly, all of our viewers, and I think that's it for like the working level shout outs. There's so many people I want to list, all my friends from locals, but I don't want to go on for too much, so I'm sure there'll be opportunity to bring some of these people up later in stories.
Absolutely, man. Well, yeah, I run into the same issue all the time. I've got way too many people to name for all the people that have influenced me and helped me along on my journey. It would just take me forever to name them all sometimes. So I can really appreciate that. And of course, you know me, friends and family are very important to me. So it was great that you mentioned your friends and family as well. So let's get on into some of the questions. So you're known as the Drykage, or the Drytron God in some circles. So I'm just curious, what is so appealing to you about the deck, and how has it served you over time since its release?
You mentioned taking it back to the release, because I gotta say, when it first came out, I was anti-Drytron. I was trying to beat it. That's why we came up with the Necrogoon strategy. And that kind of came out of a willingness to not want to play Drytron, but be able to beat it every single time. Then I caved, and I was like, dude, I'm just going to play this deck. This deck looks pretty cool. The thing that really inspired me was playing against my boy Andrew, a.k.a. Yugioh, another person who deserves a shout-out, especially Team Yugioh, which I'm still technically part of. He played me with it. I'm not even sure if this was... He played me with it before the ban list hit Ben 10. And I was like, holy crap, this deck is insane. I'm really scared, yada, yada, yada. That inspired the Necrogoon strategy. And then he played me with it again after Ben 10 was hit. And I was like, holy smokes, this deck is still insane. I'm going to build it right now. So I did that. I built it. I think I had the core, and I was like, doing test hands with it when Benton was still at 3 and Union Carrier was legal. But then they gave those cards the axe, and I was like, all right, well, let's just see what we can do. And I actually really fell in love with the strategy, and I was playing it religiously before the new support came out. So I got a lot of experience. That also gave me a lot of experience with the Megalith cards, which I still use today. And the ritual summoning mechanic, I think, has always been kind of weak compared to the other summoning mechanics of the game. But a deck like Drytron enables it to be insane. Medionis Drytron, the ritual spell, is unlike anything I've ever read in a card before. Being able to ritual summon any ritual monster from hand or graveyard by using the attack points of machines. It basically corrects everything that's wrong with the ritual archetype in Drytron. And they have got so many insane support cards. It's literally the best toolbox combo deck I think I've ever seen in one archetype. Now, mind you, the format has shifted recently, where it's like, all right, we've got these hodgepodge decks that take a bunch of powerful archetypes, put them together to make strong combo decks. But none of those archetypes on their own even come close or compare to the power that's within Drytron. And that kind of goes to say, like, look at how many times they hit on the ban list. Think about it. The deck is still not dead. The deck is still one of the strongest combo decks of time. And in my opinion, if there was no ban list, it would be the strongest combo deck of all time, period. So that's what I like about the deck. That's why I love the deck. I've been playing it religiously. My accolade with it was when I got second at the PPG in Washington, D.C. That was kind of what put me on the map as the Drytron guy. And then, of course, all the subsequent videos that came along with it. So, yeah, that's a little bit about my love for the Drytrons.
Attaboy, man. Yeah, and if there's one person you should be taking advice on Drytron from, it is Logan, because, yeah, as you mentioned, you did come in second place at the PPG. You also have other WCQ tops with the deck as well, and, countless local tops as well. So, congratulations on all your accolades and accomplishments, which we will touch on a little bit more later in the interview. But, yeah, thanks for giving us some insight into the deck itself and how it served you over time. So for my next question, I've got a little bit more of a personal question for you. So on your streams, which you should go check out, twitch.tv/LoganJYA, if you're not already familiar, you've been pretty open on your streams about your struggles with mental health. And I'm just curious, what are some of the things that you do to remedy your mind when you're feeling down, and what advice can you give to others who struggle with similar mental health issues?
This is a question, and I gotta be honest, I definitely don't have the perfect answer for it, because I'm still kind of going through that journey myself right now. But part of what you said is the biggest part, and that's being honest about it. And the biggest support system that I've had are those people I shout out at the start, the people who work with me on my stream specifically, because they deal with the brunt of it. They really do. They see me at my best and at my worst, and they're the ones who've inspired me to this point recently, where, to go back to therapy, to actually seek out the support of psychiatrists, like being genuinely honest. Like, these are things that they're the ones who told me that I needed to do. So being open and honest with those that are close to you is one of the most important things for taking care of yourself mentally, and not ignore it, not go on and act like it's not happening. You have to really own it, because I think a good portion of my life I kind of tucked that away and kind of just powered through it. And it worked for me for a while. I was able to ignore my feelings like that and not suffer from stress and anxiety to a crushing extent. Nowadays, it's not the case. It's kind of built up to the boiling point, and you just gotta be honest with yourself and say, okay, this is happening. What am I going to do to fix it? How can I better myself? How can I do what needs to be done so I don't feel that way? And that is the process that I'm in the middle of right now. And there's a lot of, what I would call agitators around me, like little stress points that make that a challenge. But people like you, Paper, people like my friends from the stream are the ones that kind of radiate that positivity and remind you that, dude, you're blessed. Happy to be here. There's so many great things you got going for you, and you got so many people here to support you. Those are the most important things. So my biggest tip when it comes to mental health is be honest with yourself and take the action that you need to better yourself. Don't leave yourself stuck in a rut, in a rough situation. You gotta be straight up with it. And I understand that not everyone has the resources to do so. That's why it's important to reach out to those that are close to you, because even just a friend who's there to listen to you can make all the difference.
That's amazing, man, and I really appreciate you being so open and honest with my viewers about that. And first and foremost, before I comment on that, I am going to leave the mental health hotline down in the description box down below. It's completely free, so if you are struggling with mental health, suicidal thoughts, anything like that, go ahead and give them a call. Reach out to me, reach out to Logan. There's always someone that you can reach out to if you'd like to speak to. And yeah, it really, as you mentioned, it really is about the people that you surround yourself with that help make you great or can help take away from your greatness, right? When I was younger, my dad always told me, surround yourself with people who are better than you so you can aspire to be as great as they are and then even greater. And yeah, it really does make all the difference. When people are behind you, supporting you, and lifting you up instead of bringing you down, it really encourages you to help make yourself the best person that you can be. And I'm really thankful that you were able to delve into that a little bit. And thanks for sharing that personal kind of sentiment with us, Logan. I appreciate that.
Give me an opportunity to talk about it, because I think it's an important thing to talk about.
Absolutely, absolutely. Don't stay silent. Make sure you get your feelings out there. And like I said, link down in the description below for the mental health hotline. So on a lighter note, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into Yu-Gi-Oh! And your experience in the game thus far, and then maybe some of your bigger accolades in the game.
Sure, I would love to. So, let's see. Like the generic origin story for most players of this game is that when I was a kid, I'd watch the show and like all that shenanigans, and play in the school ground, and obviously ignore the rules. And I played it at the same time when it was a big thing, and like when I was in grade school, very early grade school, but never really knew how to actually play the game. Then I think I was in middle school when I grew a legitimate interest in the game once again. This is around the time when I think Exceeds were first coming out. It was late in my middle school days, and I was like, all right, you know what? Let's try and get back into this again. There was a local card shop not too far away from me, and I could literally. It was before I could drive, so I would like longboard to get to the card shop and go play there. So that's when I was getting into it. It was around that time I was getting back into it, and obviously it took a while for me to get decent at it. I guess so I would play at the local level. I think maybe once in a blue moon when I was getting older into high school, I would go to like a real event. Never would really do too well just because I wasn't as into the competitive scene as I am nowadays. I guess the first time where I did legitimately well outside of something that was just an invite was getting second place in either 2018 or 2019 with Goki Rango, and Parsippany Regionals. That was the kind of like the first taste of victory that I had, and also cemented me as a second place jobber because for some reason we can't seem to break that mold into first place, not yet. But
your time will come.
I really, hopefully so. And even when I was in this young age too, I want to mention that I was trying to make videos at the same time too. Like it was something that was very therapeutic for me. And the Yu-Gi-Oh seems a lot smaller on YouTube, so I was doing like I had my little niche, my little part, like doing things that everybody else was doing, which was making like the pack openings and like the silly deck profiles, doing trade binder videos, so all these things, and it was a fun scene to be in, especially like the early 2010s. So it was a real cool thing. I guess so. Anyway, moving on from there, Parsippany did well. Kind I got more serious into the game, or at least tried to, but I was also trying to finish up school at the same time, so it was a real busy time. Tried to keep up the game as much as I could, and then I'm finishing up school, and then Corona happens, so I'm like, oh man. But that's when I also decided, like, you know what, I'm going to get back into trying to make videos and get back and start doing the Twitch stream. So that came at the start of Corona. I think that's an origin story for a lot of people who are doing content nowadays, and it was cool because I already had some skills from when I used to make videos, and obviously I was still very ingrained in the game. I had more time than ever to kind of ingrain myself into the weirdest meta of all time, which is exclusively digital. And really just got into the game, played online, started streaming on Twitch, and started to put together the following that I have now. When IRL events started on like the lowest of keys, I was starting to go back to locals when I was living in DC. I got to go play at the PPG in Washington, and of course continued to be the second place jobber, which was great. And that was with Drytron. And then I continued to play the game. Most recently, I was at like my first IRL official Konami regional, and I got 22nd place with Drytron. It was only like a few weeks ago, so it was pre-Despia, but it was still, post-Brave, post-everything else, all those shenanigans, so that was another good one. And honestly, we've got another regional coming up real soon. I'm hoping to do well at that one as well, and yeah, I think that was a bit of a long-winded answer, but that's a pretty good snapshot.
There you go, man. And of course, that regional that you're referring to is the Edison Regional in New Jersey, which is your home state. And wishing you the best of luck in that, and all of my friends that are going out there tomorrow at the recording of this video. Best of luck in the regional, and I know you guys are going to bring home some juicy things from over there. So, showing you all my love and wishing you the best. And just got a little side question for you. Are you going to be playing Drytron at the event?
Okay, today is going to determine that. So after we're done here, I'm going to locals to practice, and I may or may not be switching strategies. So that's only because I had a bad experience with Drytron yesterday. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a pretty volatile person when it comes to quickly changing my mind. So we'll have to find out. Today's going to be what cements it, though.
All right, man. And if you get in the top, I'm going to need that deck profile for the channel, my friend. You already know.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
All right, baby. So a couple more questions for you. So I just want to know, what are your thoughts on the current meta? What are some of the things? Obviously, it's been a very contentious meta, right? In our Yu-Gi-Oh circles, there's a lot to talk about within the meta, and there's a lot of different, very powerful cards that are kind of defining the meta at this time. So what are some of your thoughts on it? What are some of the things that we could see get the axe on the ban list, or maybe come off the ban list as well?
Sure. So I've said this before, Brave is overpowered just generally speaking. I liked the idea that it could make bad archetypes good, but now it's just making already decent archetypes ridiculously good. So I think Brave is just a problem, generates too much advantage, and it's concerning. And it kind of ties into one of my least favorite strategies of all time ever, prank kids. I hate them, and they are doing well again, so that hurts me to see. But it is what it is. Definitely not a fan of those. So prank kids is a problem. Brave in general is just increased the ceiling so high to a point where one of the best combo decks of all time is struggling to compete. And you all know what I'm talking about. Scythe Lock, people like to complain about it. It doesn't affect me too much with the decks that I choose to play, so I don't really care. Like, you can Scythe Lock Drytron, it's like, cool. It doesn't lock our ritual summons. I'm still going to Draco Nids and clear your whole board. But yeah, and then the amalgamation decks, the pile decks, that just shows you how strong individual engines have gotten at this point. So I think we're at a unique time in the game where it's like it's cool about the diversity in the format, but it's also concerning about how much of that diversity is exclusively because of some of these small engines, like the Brave cards, like the Synchro piles. It's weird. I think that there's a lot of players who are not super satisfied with how high the ceiling has gotten for the game and would like to see a bit of a reset to bring that power level down and give some other older archetypes a chance to compete.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I think you touched on a lot of really important things. I think just the power level of Yu-Gi-Oh right now, even in comparison to 5 years ago, has just increased dramatically and drastically. And yeah, we do see kind of something. And this is something that Nesh talked about in my interview with him. Is that these engines that are incredibly powerful are giving decks that are not supposed to have recurrence, that are not supposed to have a grind game. They're giving them that grind game and recurrence. So it's something that we have to look at. There are two sides to the coin, right? Like, some people might make the argument that, yeah, I like things like Brave because it allows me to play my ABC deck, or yeah, I like
right.
So it allows certain players with rogue decks to kind of get back involved with the game. But of course, there is the paywall stuck behind it. So like I said, lots to talk about the format. We will have to see what happens on the ban list in the upcoming months. One thing I'm curious about is the GG for free. So this is a tournament that you and I host every single Wednesday night, 6:30 p.m. The link is down in the description down below if you want to get involved. We give away free prizes every single Wednesday night, courtesy of my sponsor, Imperial Gaming Collectibles, and Logan himself. So talk to me a little bit about the GG for free. How did it start, and what does it mean to the community that you serve?
I'll keep it brief because I do tell this story from time to time, and I don't think I tell it as much as I should nowadays. But after Corona started, it gave me, my friends and I, basically a way to compete online through Dueling Book, and we expanded the base out into like the viewers of the stream, and we tried to make that into a thing, and it really gave people an opportunity to compete in the game at kind of a, I guess you could say, a more casual level, giving the feel of going to locals, practicing with it. The deck that you kind of want to learn more, and being able to do it for 100% free. That was the big thing, right? We wanted young people to be able to participate in this. You wanted people who weren't stuck behind a paywall, people who were struggling at the time because of Corona, out of work, out of school, whatever it was. Give them a chance to actually play the game and actually compete for some real prizes. So that was kind of the origin stories of the GG for free. We started it in 2020. And it still goes on to this day, and I have to give a lot of thanks to Paper for that because, frankly, I was trying to decrease the frequency of it. It was becoming taxing for me, and having someone to come help out really makes it all the easier, all the better, and all the more possible. So, again, another big cheers and thank you to Paper. And you guys want to participate in it Wednesday night, 6:30 p.m. EST. You definitely hit us up, join our Discord, and come check it out. You guys are more than welcome to participate. It's almost always on Dueling Book, which means everyone has access to play on it for 100% free and compete for some fun prizes.
Absolutely, man. And thank you so much for your kind words directed at me. I really do appreciate that. And of course, I owe you a big thanks because, as a YouTuber who's bigger than myself by a lot, it meant a lot to me that you kind of brought me under your wings and you were able to, kind of introduce me to your audience and get me involved in your project. And I'm glad that we are able to kind of collaborate in this way. And yeah, I owe you a lot of thanks, and I'm always going to be thankful for our brotherhood and our friendship, my friend. I love you with all my heart. I just want to remind you of that every single chance that I get.
Same to you, brother. Same to you. 100%.
You already know, baby. Okay, a couple more questions for you. Are there any people in the Yu-Gi-Oh community that you kind of consider like a mentor or someone that you really look up to in the community, and who would that be?
There's a lot, but I'm going to put my lens on one person, and that's got to be Stephen J. Trifanowski, a.k.a. Trif Gaming. I think he's had the biggest influence on me, not only as a content creator, but as a person. I think that he has, inspired me to better myself physically, which is something I take very seriously nowadays, is regular exercise. And I think that's something that he does that's very inspirational. and it's made me feel better about myself. Also, he's been there to kind of walk me through content creation. He's been there to throw me a bone, come participate in the Driju for free, let me on his channel to show a video. Things like that is just it means the world. And sometimes when a bigger person like that, who's up there in the 50,000 mark or higher, it can make all the difference when someone like that is throwing you that bone and helping you out. And I try and reciprocate that. It's been a great lesson for me. So that's why I also try and help out other people who are trying to get into this scene, because it can be kind of cutthroat. I've had great experiences with content creators. I've also had very, very negative experiences with content creators. And, that doesn't define the entirety of the community, though. And there will always be those great people like Stephen J. Trifanowski who are there to help you out. And I try and be that person for the other people who reach out to me. So, frankly, never be afraid to reach out. That's one of my biggest pieces of advice. You may be surprised by how kind and endearing someone is. And if you don't have the best experience, that's fine. Don't hold it against them. Just move on. Go talk to somebody else instead who might be a little bit more receptive to your ideas. Not everyone is closed-minded. Some people are, and that's okay. They have the right to be. But, you'll always find one of those magical people who make a big difference on you, whether it be as a content creator, as a player, or, physically, man. We're on this grind. It didn't look like that earlier.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and I can definitely attest to that. Triff really is a great person. I knew always that he was such a great person that he put a lot of energy into making his content, which is what kind of drove me to start watching his videos. But at the same time, that connection through you and Steve, it gave me the kind of encouragement to reach out to Steve on my own and just ask him on a whim if he would be interested in doing an interview here with me as well. And his response was amazing. He just said, "Of course, bro. I'm just busy for the next 2 weeks, but I got you in the next 2 weeks." And it's like, you can take a lesson from this, right? It's just ask and you shall receive. Get on your grind, do what you got to do, reach out to people. The worst thing that could happen is they say no and you move on to the next person, or you look for someone else that can give you guidance, right? And the Yu-Gi-Oh! And Yu-Gi-Tubing community, as you mentioned, can be cutthroat, but as my sponsor, Art, from Imperial Gaming Collectibles, mentioned to me, he said that in this space, there actually is a lot of room for everyone to eat. There's a lot of demand for Yu-Gi-Oh! Content right now, and the people that are in the Yu-Gi-Tubing community are generally very friendly. So I'm encouraging you, if you're interested in getting started, just start. And just reach out to people, start making connections in your community, and get it going, baby. So stay on that grind, and thanks for shedding some light on Triff and how great of a person he is. I really do appreciate that. So I've got 4 more questions for you. Have you got time?
I'll be honest, I am running a little bit low, but I'm good.
Okay, so you know what? Why don't we cut it down to 2? I'll make it easy for you. So we
can do a part 2. I promise. I'll commit to a part 2.
All right, man. Somewhere down the line, we're always going to be working together. So, what's the best piece of advice that you can give to new players?
Oh, right. Okay. So new players in general, I would say my best piece of advice is to watch people who are better than you, 100%. And try and absorb as much knowledge as you can. I'm still trying to do that to this day. There's so many people who are significantly better players than me. I still think I'm garbage. I'm garbage. And you have to think about it like that too. There's always going to be somebody that's better than you, and try and learn as much as you can from those people. Find someone who can guide you on your way, and the best way to do that is by watching. You can go watch streamers. You can go watch people play at your locals. You can go watch videos about it on YouTube. People like Austin, DB Grinder, Yu-Gi-Oh! Replays. You just go watch some good duels and absorb that knowledge of those high-tier players, and it can be inspirational. You can learn something new. I find myself learning something new about this game all the time, something I didn't know. So really, it just comes with watching and listening and kind of gaining that knowledge from those people who are better than you. And listen, you're not great until you actually are. That sounds very stupid, but it's true. There's always going to be somebody better, and I think staying humble is one of the best strategies. Don't let your head inflate. Don't let your head inflate.
Yeah, don't let your head inflate. Even if you are in the tank top gang like me and Logan, do not let your head inflate, all right? And agreed with everything you just said. And the final question, I would have to say, if there's any wisdom that you can give to my viewers to leave them with as a final question, whether it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Related or not, what would it be, my friend?
That's a good question. I would say, whether it be in Yu-Gi-Oh!, in life, in whatever, be true to yourself and do what makes you happy. If you see you got to change something, make a change. If you see that your deck's not working out, feel free to change it. But if it's making you happy, feel free to stick to it. At the end of the day, you are your best judge. You have to do what's right for you. It sounds like the most generic TED talk that anybody could ever give, but it's true, right? Like, think about it. If I didn't like Drytron so much, would I still be playing it in a meta where it's objectively at odds with some of the strongest strategies that are currently in the game? I probably wouldn't, but I like them. And I like trying to make them as good as they can be. So, that's, you just want to do what makes you happy, makes your friends, what makes you radiate that positivity. So do what you got to do for that, whether it be in life, whether it be in the game. Do what you got to do to make yourself happy,
That's wonderful, man, and I really do appreciate you coming on the channel. Thank you for sharing that piece of wisdom with me. I love you with all my heart, as you know. Can't wait for Wednesday night for the next GG for free. Logan, it has been amazing having you on the channel. As always, my name is Paper Yugioh. Stay getting that paper, and I will see you all in the next video.
Every time it go down, I'ma have to throw